Well, they've done it again, this time with Magic the Gathering, a card game that I suppose is something like D&D. My son has tried to explain it to me. It was very confusing. So I will stick to old school D&D. But anyway, Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast has now decided that they're going to race swap a bunch of characters in Lord of the Rings. First off, by making Aragorn a black man. Now, J.R.R. Tolkien was very specific about the characters in his stories. He described every one of them in depth, okay? And they were all white because it's a middle European tale, okay? It's basically Middle Earth stands in for Europe. So most of the characters are white. That's just the way it was. That's the way he wrote it. Intentionally or not intentionally, I don't think he wrote it to be racist by not putting any black characters in his stories. But hey, that's how he wrote it. But people just cannot live with that because there's no representation. So here we are. Magic the Gathering has now made Aragorn a black man. They've kept Arwen a white elf. So now we have a black man with a white elf. But that's not the only characters that they've made, that they've race swapped. They've also race swapped Galadriel, fairest and oldest of the High Elves, the fairest being on Middle Earth. I mean, do you understand what fairest means? You know, it's very pale, very white, but they've race swapped her, so now she's black. Éowyn, the shield maiden of the House of Rohan. If you've seen the movies, you'll remember her. She kind of had a crush on Aragorn, but ended up marrying the Prince of Gondor, whatever his name was. I can't. It's eluding me right now. But anyway, people aren't happy about this, and rightfully so. So I was going to read some of these Twitter reactions because, of course, they're calling everybody that's unhappy with this decision to race swap these characters racist. They don't understand. I really think at this point that they don't understand what we're all about, okay? We're about purity, not purity of race, okay? Don't get that. Don't mistake that for what I'm saying here. We're about purity of the story, okay? J.R.R. Tolkien wrote these books in the 40s and 50s, okay? We enjoy the books. They're some of the greatest fantasy novels of all time. And now, 50 years later, 60, almost 70 years later, you decided that it's not good enough, that what he wrote is not good enough, and you have to add in your modern representation for no reason whatsoever other than to create controversy to sell these products, okay? You're creating controversy. That's all you're doing. There's no reason to do what you're doing other than to make people otherwise no one would be talking about this, okay? No one would care. No one would be talking about this, but I'm buying into it by making this video and I'm talking about it. All right, so some of these Twitter reactions. Woke MTG, Magic the Gathering, Lord of the Rings, made Aragorn a black man, choosing wokeness over the actual fucking lore of the IP. So now you've pissed off the very fan base you're trying to sell this overpriced crap to. You have. New magic belongs in the landfill. God forbid we have a white guy next to a white girl. That's true. Look at some of the commercials. Some of these commercials lately. They're always some black character with a white character. Always, always, always. Whether it's a black man married to a white girl or a white girl married to a black man. In almost every single commercial that they make these days. Okay? It's just representation. It's unnecessary. Okay, put two black characters together. Okay, put two white characters together. It doesn't mean anything. It's not wrong for a white person to marry another white person. It's not wrong for a black person to marry another black person. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. According to Wizards of the Coast, Aragorn, last of the Númenóreans, is black. I've already read this one to you. They cannot create anything, only defile works of great men. That's right. They can't come up with anything new. Of course, it's Lord of the Rings, so they really shouldn't be coming up with anything new, but they didn't have to go with Lord of the Rings. They could have gone with anything else. They could have created a completely brand new story. It did not have to be Lord of the Rings. I just realized that you can't see me. Let me change that. There you go. There I am. It didn't have to be Lord of the Rings, okay? It could have been anything. So, another one. They actually tokenized Aragorn. They did. So these are the 3 tweets that are against it. Now let's take a look at some of the tweets that are for it. Ben Shaw. Aragorn looks like a freaking badass in the new Magic the Gathering art. I would follow that dude into battle. Ha ha. Let's take a look at his Twitter account. Right there. Oh, he's got pronouns in his bio. Of course he does. Got pronouns in his freaking bio. Like, I don't know that he's a he with that big ass beard, but he's got to make sure everybody knows. He's got pronouns in his bio. Okay, next. Lord of the Rings. I saw that card and my first thought was, damn, Aragorn is hot. Let's take a look at Rennie. Rennie. Oh, look. Pronouns in her bio. Of course she does. She's got 32 followers. Nobody gives a shit about you, all right? I don't have many followers either, so nobody gives a shit about me. Morgan Daniels. God, Aragorn is so hot, though. Ugh. And then she cries. Morgan Daniels. Oh, right there. Cosplayer. Actress. Pronouns in her bio. And she's a mermaid. Of course she is. Oh, God. I guess this is some of her cosplay. I mean, she looks pretty hot. I'll give her that. You know, she's got some good cosplay there, but got pronouns in her bio. These are the kind of people that you're pandering to. And you know what? These are the kind of people that aren't buying your product. They're not. You can't tell me that these people are actually playing Magic the Gathering. I mean, maybe they are. But you want to pander to actual fans of Lord of the Rings. You want actual fans of Lord of the Rings to buy your product, then make it Lord of the Rings and stop changing things. Stop changing things just for the reason of changing things, okay? Just for the opportunity to change things so that you can create a narrative and have people get pissed about it and start talking about your product. They're pissed about it. They're talking about your product. It does not mean that they're going to buy your product. There is such a huge fan base of Lord of the Rings out there that you really, if you make a good Lord of the Rings product, people will buy it. Nothing has to be swapped. And this isn't racist. This is nothing about being racist, okay? It's just the simple fact of changing all of our legacy characters. And you just don't understand. That pisses people off. People are getting tired of it. And there's no reason for it. And even like I've seen some people on Twitter and on TikTok talking about this, and black people, and they're crying and say they're huge Lord of the Rings fans, and they love to see that they're finally being represented. Dude, if you were a huge Lord of the Rings fan before this, and now you're crying and so happy that they've changed Aragorn to a black man, you've completely contradicted yourself, and you could not have been a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Let me explain something to you. I love Blade, okay? The movie Blade, Wesley Snipes, okay? Blade 1, Blade 2, forget about Blade 3. I can still love Blade, even though he's a black man, okay? I can still see myself in that character. Simply because he's not white doesn't matter to me, all right? It doesn't matter. If we my God, what if we tried to race swap Blade? Okay, these people would freak the fuck out and it'd start burning down buildings. Absolutely, it would be the biggest controversy that ever lived, and the people that tried to do it would be canceled and thrown into a pit for the rest of their lives. It's so backwards. It's so contradictory. It sucks. Leave legacy characters alone and create new stories, new characters. And if you want to make those new characters black, so be it. No one will have a problem with it as long as you tell a good story. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Please check out my Rumble. Please check out my locals. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will talk to you next time.